Anyone who's ever run an automotive workshop knows the feeling, right? The constant juggling, the frantic search for updates, and that nagging sense that things could be so much smoother. So, what if you could just eliminate the chaos? Today, we're going to dive into how AutoChip India's smart workshop solution does exactly that, swapping all that guesswork for pure certainty and turning your manual operation into a sleek, automated, data-driven machine.
So let's start with what seems like a really simple question, but for anybody in a busy workshop, you know this is the one question that can absolutely derail your entire day. Is the car in inspection? Is it waiting on a part? Is it ready for pickup? Every I don't know is a tiny crack in your workflow, and that lack of real-time visibility, that's the root of so much wasted time and money. So, how do you get that total visibility? Well, this slide breaks it down perfectly. You need to know three things all at the same time. First, the process. What's actually happening to the vehicle? Second, the resource. Who or what is doing the work? And third, the location. Where is all this taking place? Now, in a typical setup, these are all totally disconnected. But the magic of true automation happens right there in the middle, where those three circles overlap to create one single, undeniable source of truth.
And that fragmentation, that lack of a single source of truth, it's not just some minor inconvenience. No, it's the core problem that plagues pretty much every manual workshop, and it has some really serious consequences. When you can't see the whole picture, when you're flying blind, what happens? Well, you're left with this: unexplained delays, skilled technicians just sitting idle, and a complete lack of accountability. You just can't optimize what you can't accurately measure. So how do you finally get that crystal clear view? The solution is this really elegant fusion of hardware and software. And to make it super easy to understand, AutoChip uses this great metaphor. Every smart workshop needs both the eyes to see what's happening and the brain to understand it all and then take action. At its heart, what this system does is create one seamless automated loop. It watches every single step of a vehicle's journey through your shop, from the second it enters the gate to the moment it leaves. And it does this 24/7, tirelessly and without fail. Okay, now what's really cool about this slide is how it shows the division of labor. On the left, you've got the eyes. These are the automatic number plate recognition, or ANPR cameras. They're the sensory input. They see every vehicle, they timestamp every single movement, and the best part? Zero manual data entry. Then on the right, you have the brain. That's the workshop management software. It takes all that visual data and makes sense of it all, managing workflows, allocating resources intelligently, and even triggering alerts when needed. It's simple. One sees, the other understands. All right, so that's the tech, but what does it actually look like in action, day to day? Let's follow a single car through the entire process. This is where the theory becomes reality, and you can really see the power of this system at work. So here we have a standard 8-stage workflow that any workshop is going to recognize, right? You've got reception, allocation, work in progress, the whole shebang. The huge difference here is that every single transition, every key moment you see with that little camera icon is captured and logged automatically by the system. Okay, the journey begins. A vehicle pulls in and boom, instantly, the camera, the eyes, captures its license plate and logs the exact arrival time. That data gets zapped to the brain, which automatically updates the system and pings the assigned service advisor. The clock has started, and not a single person has had to lift a finger or touch a keyboard. Right, once the job card is made, the brain's allocation engine takes over. Now, this isn't just about finding the next open bay. No way. The software is constantly analyzing everything: what job is needed, which technicians have the right skills and are free, and the real-time status of every bay. It's the difference between just filling empty slots and true dynamic planning. Now, while the car is being serviced, managers get this live visual dashboard. Green means work is in progress. Simple. But if there's a delay, maybe they're waiting on a part, the status flips to red for hold. And this is where the system's precision is just brilliant. It tracks the exact duration of that hold time, which is data that is almost always lost in a manual setup. And finally, after all the work is done, the car goes for a wash and a test drive. The ANPR system sees the car leave and sees it come back, time-stamping that whole loop perfectly. It then tracks the time until the customer shows up and verifies the final exit. The entire service life cycle captured down to the minute. So we've followed the car. Pretty cool, but what does all this minute-by-minute tracking actually mean for the business, for the bottom line? This is where we see the real return on investment.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. You get a complete, unfudgeable blueprint of every vehicle's journey. It's a perfect record that just cannot be manually messed with. And because it's so precise, the system instantly flags problems. Look here, a time overrun in the wash bay. A bottleneck that might have gone totally unnoticed for weeks is now exposed in real time.
And it's not just about flagging these things after the fact. The system is like a vigilant watchdog. A technician isn't at their assigned bay, a car gets moved to the wrong spot, a vehicle tries to exit without clearance, an instant alert is sent right to the manager who can solve the problem before it becomes a major delay. This is what AutoChip calls the shift to automated omniscience. Now, that might sound a little bit sci-fi, but what it means in practice is actually really simple. You optimize your resources because every decision is based on hard data. You get superior output because there's complete, transparent accountability. And ultimately, you drive more revenue because you have higher throughput and way fewer wasted hours. When you really boil it all down, the payoff rests on these 4 pillars. First, operational efficiency, because you've gotten rid of manual data entry. Second, resource optimization, because you're using your bays and technicians to their absolute max potential. Third, total transparency, which lets you find and fix those bottlenecks. And fourth, 24/7 automation, giving you flawless monitoring that never calls in sick. All of this precise second-by-second data doesn't just sit on a server somewhere. It flows into these powerful, really easy-to-read reports. Managers can see everything at a glance: bay utilization, technician idle time, average turnaround, giving them the concrete insights they need to make smarter, faster, and much more profitable decisions. So, at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to improve a few things here and there. It's a complete transformation of the service center from a manual operation into a truly smart, automated, and data-driven business. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When every single vehicle is tracked, every resource is optimized, and every problem is flagged the moment it happens, well, the old limits on your throughput and your profitability, they just disappear. The only question left is, how much can you grow?